So, but Jesus was never about eye for an eye or...
Okay, so Jesus' ministry, basically, this is another thing, this is a good point that you're making, yeah? So basically, when Jesus' ministry, he was at the time of the rabbis who had basically taken the wealth of the people using their position,
Right.
okay? And they had manipulated the law to use their position. So the Pharisees,
Right.
okay?
Yeah,
The Pharisees, okay? So these are the ones that talked about, this is why Jesus, he cast out the moneylenders in the temple.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
No, well, you're not in it.
So
You're not in
what
it.
we
Yeah,
see,
you're not in it. Yeah.
there's a tradition. The corruption happened much earlier with Moses, where these Pharisees, they invented laws such as the priestly gifts, where it was basically the Levites are the chosen people, and we have to have the best cuts of meat. So they emphasized the law for them, and they said that this law is from God. So they added to this law, making it for their benefit. Okay, in the Quran it actually speaks about them. Woe to those who write the book with their own hand and say that this is from Allah. They seek with it a measly gain. What is the measly gain? When you look back at the Old Testament and the New Testament, you can see this as well in Jesus' when he cast out the people in the temple. When you look back, you can see that there's an emphasis on the priests, the descendants of Aaron, the Levites. They have to have the best positions, they have to have the best cuts of meat.
Yeah.
And even modern academic, non-Muslim, academic sources, they're saying that when we look at the Bible, we can see different layers. One of them is called a priestly source, where a huge emphasis on priests and on their position. And we can see that this emphasis is basically using the religion for their own gain. So when Jesus is saying it's not the Sabbath is not for man, rather the man is, as the passage goes, that the Sabbath what's the passage? Sorry,
The Sabbath, yeah, Jesus said it's...
The Sabbath is for man, basically.
Yes,
Sabbath,
exactly.
So they pick from the meat, the wheat. So what happens is that these laws, they were made for men. Okay, it wasn't that the law is to be used to beat up men and to that's why in the New Testament it mentions how they would have the best seats in the gathering.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is to show off. A person that's close with God is meant to be the most humblest. You're meant to sit with the normal people. You're not meant to be you don't distinguish yourself. That's why our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when an emissary from the Christians came of Najran, they came to see the Prophet, they couldn't distinguish him from the normal people. Okay? When Umar ibn Khattab entered upon the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, at this time he is the leader of the Muslims in Medina. And he began to cry. Why? He said, look at the kings of Persia and the kings of Rome, and they have palaces and they have these huge things that they have with them, but yet you sleeping on a bed of reeds that's making it a mark in your arm. Okay, he began to weep. What did the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, say? That similar to what Jesus said. Our kingdom is not of this world, Jesus said. Okay, what did the Prophet Muhammad said? That I'd rather be a servant, a prophet that is a servant, than a king. Okay, serving God, humble. In your scripture it says, whoever humbles himself for God, God will raise him.
Yeah.
Don't
exactly.
raise yourself.
Yes.
Okay, and this is what Jesus is referring to. That kind of self-piety. That self-piety.
Right. I have another question
yes,
for you.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Right,
But did that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now, so I was, as a Christian, you raised up with the concept of original sin.
Yeah.
Me, personally, I do not believe in the concept of sin as is described in Christianity. What I personally think, this is me, not any other, right? I think that an individual can only cause a sin by doing something untoward or bad to his fellow human being. This is what I think it upsets God, since everybody is a creation of God, right? Every human being.
I would disagree with that a little bit.
Why?
Okay, so yes, that's correct. That is a sin, but there's also, so this is the horizontal level.
Yes.
Okay, I take your watch, I steal your money, I steal something like that.
Yes.
I've sinned against you, but you've missed out one thing, which is the most important, that I can sin against God as well. God has given me my life.
Right.
God has given me my hearing, my eyes, my everything. God has given me so many blessings.
All your faculties.
All my faculties and everything else that I'm grateful for. My clothing, my food, my family, everything that I'm grateful for. If we were to enumerate the favors from God, we wouldn't be able to. you cannot enumerate them. There's no end
Yes,
to these
yeah,
things,
no, okay,
these mountains.
yes.
And then to deny God and say, you know what, God never did this for me. You know what, I don't care what God thinks. This is the greatest crime. This is disbelief in God, okay? So yes, you're right, that sin is, you can transgress against somebody else, against your neighbor, that is sin. But the greatest sin is to transgress against God. So you've got the horizontal, but the vertical you're missing. So this is so we say that God's right is the greatest right, and that He alone should be worshipped. You can be good to your parents, good man, good to everybody, but yet the one who created you, you've never said thank you to him, you've never acknowledged him, then you're not actually a good person, because the greatest importance you haven't given. I'll give you one example to understand. Your mother, I'm sure, was a good woman, looked after you. Yeah.
Nice to meet you. I'll see you tomorrow. Don't leave anything in the back. Yeah, see you later. Take it easy.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, see you later.
He was very patient. Okay, so your mother has looked after you,
Yes,
reared
yes.
you since as a child, gave you
Yeah.
all of your education, gave you your initial nourishment. Okay, you know what we're talking about. Give you initial nourishment as a baby, then raised you after that, and gave it. And even now, if you was to eat with your mother would make sure that you eat before she eats.
Absolutely.
This is the mother. Okay.
Yes.
Now, as you imagine that, as you became of age, as you're becoming a man, you never went to visit her.
I consider that a sin.
You consider it a sin, but hang on. At work, you're amazing. Everybody loves you at work. With all your work colleagues, you're the best guy. You buy everybody gifts, you buy everybody food, lunches on you all the time. Are you a good man?
If I ignore my mother?
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Why? Because the greater priority, you haven't given it to where it's great, it's important. You've done good to others, but the one where the right matters the most, you haven't fulfilled that right. Now this will help you understand that you could be good to everybody, including your mother as well, everybody. But with God, He's created you, created your mother, created your children, created everything you have, you haven't fulfilled His right. So this is why this is the greatest injustice. This is why you can say this person, he was good to everybody, but he didn't pray to God, the one who created him. He didn't acknowledge that. This is the greatest sin.
See, this is the thing so my thinking goes like this. I agree with everything you said.
You agree, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
And thank you for the explanation. Now, moving on so there is the creator.
Yes.
It's God, right?
Yeah.
So He created the universe. I'm not quite sure, but is your concept that there are the universe is not just the earth, right? There are other things out there.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay, so now I'm telling you like this.
There's other creations, yeah.
There is such a being as God, right? He created everything.
Come listen, don't worry. I'm not gonna blow up, don't worry.
So He created everything.
Yeah.
Now, in the grand scheme of things of the universe, we are. It's very hard to explain how little we are.
Yes.
If such a being exists and He created us here, don't you find it very odd that He will get offended by somebody so small as we are?
So
that's why I think that He would rather, if we are all His creation, He would rather get offended when we are terrible to each other, rather than, because how can you harm Him?
Yeah.
Nobody can harm God.
Never harm Him.
This is a concept I have a problem to some degree.
Two things with that, yeah.
You cannot. How can you upset somebody like that?
If you was to make us so insignificant and say that we're so insignificant, you're so insignificant, one insignificant person harming another insignificant person is also insignificant. That's the first thing. If we're all insignificant, it doesn't matter.
No, insignificant in relation. How should I say?
So why would it be a sin to harm somebody else, but not a sin to disbelieve in God?
Because everything is created.
It's all sin. It doesn't harm God. It doesn't harm God at all.
But it harms His creation, doesn't it?
No. Forget Him. We're talking about our relationship with God. It doesn't harm. If I disbelieve in God, it's not going to harm me in the slightest. If you disbelieve in God, I represent all of us. If we disbelieve in God, it's not going to harm you in the slightest.
Right.
Okay? But He has given us a way because He's all-knowing. He knows what we think. He knows our interactions. He knows how He knows we're talking right now. He knows how I'm dealing with you right now. Okay. So if He's knowing, if He's all-knowing, and He has the characteristics of being the most merciful, then a most merciful Creator who created all of us, created you. You're also His creation. He has enjoined mercy upon the whole of creation. That's why there is mercy inside us. That's why the mother has mercy to her child. That's why the cat has mercy to his kittens. Why? Because this is a mercy that God has created and placed in the world. Okay, so this mercy, of course, he would want a knowledgeable creator with this mercy. Of course, he would be bothered or want us to deal good with each other. Of course, he would. Okay, and also with him. That's the first point. Okay. The second point is when it comes to things that are insignificant. You see the leaf on that tree.
Yeah.
When that leaf falls, does it follow an order? It follows an order.
Yes, of course. Yeah, all those things. Yes.
When the river goes down the side of the mountain, in a mountain in the middle of nowhere, that no one's watching it.
Yeah.
Does it follow an order?
Of course.
It follows an order. So everything has a law that it follows. Everything has a law. It follows an order. Okay. So these things, nobody's witnessing them, but yet they have an order. So now for us, how can it be the case that this all-knowing God, who's put inside us mercy, he's put inside us some knowledge and some kindness and gentleness inside us, also some anger in some instances, he's given us these attributes. How can he not be bothered about how we interact with each other and how we interact with him? Of course he will be. So all of our actions, where we differ with original sin is because you mentioned half of it, that sinning towards your person, another person.
Yes.
It's not just that; it's sin towards God as well. And we also differ with, agree with you against the original sin. Is that sin is something that must be? I know that I know the law and I turn away from it. The baby has no sin. There's no such way. There's no way that the baby can have original sin. That what is sin is to turn away from God's law. Meaning you need to know which way God's law is and then turn away from it. So if the baby doesn't have that faculty, how can the baby then be called an inheritor of the original sin?
No, it can't.
The baby never told, in the Christian religion, the baby never told Adam to eat the apple. Okay, this is a Christian concept. But the baby was not there present. So the baby cannot now have some of the sin placed on him in order for him to be cleansed or baptized, whatever it is. However, as Islam says, that the children are born upon al-fitra, the natural disposition. The children are born pure, with a clean slate. And it is their society that makes them become. Assalamu alaikum Hajj. Hello Hajj, labas alayk. Inshallah, inshallah. Barakallahu feek. Barakallahu feek.
Yes, absolutely. Fire away.
Yeah.
You said that every child that's born is born pure in society.
Barakallahu feek Hajj. Yeah. Every child is
So are you saying,
pure.
say if there was a child like Tarzan,
Yeah.
who was growing up in the woods,
Yeah.
or in the forest, or the jungle, whatever, he would have been without sin.
He would be born without sin originally.
So there's no society to change him though. He's going to be around gorillas. And all of that kind
Okay.
of stuff.
So basically, what he would, So no. I need to rephrase.
Yeah,
I need
that's
to
fine,
rephrase.
that's
The actual
cool.
narration says that every child is born upon a natural state.
Okay.
However, it is a society that makes him a Jew, a Christian, or a Magian, a fire worshipper. It's like a Persian religion. Okay. So notice how he never said their society makes them a Muslim. Now the reason is.
So you said that. So let me just reiterate, so we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Originally, you said, and if I'm wrong here as well, tell me. You said that a child is born pure, completely, and that would be pure as in sinless.
Sinless, yeah.
Okay, and society is what brings on that inclination to sin.
Basically,
and
society.
molds them into that.
Society takes them away from that natural state.
Okay, so if a child, going back to it, if a child like Tarzan was born in the jungle, he would be a complete pure before God person.
Okay, so if he's not in the society,
And these gorillas, he didn't understand the language.
So if he's so it's either one or two things, yeah. So if he's upon that natural position, there's no society to take him away from that natural state.
Okay.
So he'd be upon that natural.
So how will he know about God if there's not someone like you to tell him about it?
I'll give you an example, yeah. And you can see this in history. Every society in history, okay, maybe the exception of about 1%. But if you was to look at the history as a whole, every society, they have a concept of a supreme God that created everything.
Okay.
But then they also have local deities, okay?
Yeah, okay, I understand.
Local deities. My ancestors was a righteous man, he must be holy, so we're going to worship him. Or the sun, worshipping the moon. So every society, they have this creator God, but then they have little local deities to get to that God, okay? So it's either one or two things. Either mankind all started with these local deities and they worked out to get to that one God, and they came to the conclusion, all of them at the university, that you know what, there must be one God, or that was the start point, and then they deviated from that to these little local deities. And what you'll see in the case with mankind, but you'll see that the start point in every society is that they have this natural belief in a one single supreme being, a creator. That's why if you go to China, ancient China, 2000 BC, you see they have a song called an ode to the emperor of the sky, the king above the sky. It was something always the sky, above, the thing above, okay? In West Africa, they had a god called Nyankimpong, the god of the sky, okay? In the Middle East, they had Allah, this god that was separate and distinct from his creation. The word God comes from the ancient Germanic word for God. So the word God comes from the ancient Germanic word Gat, meaning the supreme God. This was universal across all the world. So the thing about Tarzan, for example, the question in the Amazon rainforest.
It's possible that could happen.
Yeah. A person could be isolated. Now in him, he would know and understand about a natural this creator naturally. He would know about this creator naturally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, but in my understanding, because I have somewhat a little bit of understanding as well. In part of is it Dawah, the thing when you recite something?
To convey the message is Dawah. Yeah.
No, but when someone receives what do you call it?
The message.
When they receive the message?
Yeah, you call it a specific something. When someone recites something, you call it a
Quran.
No, you know when someone, say for example, our friend here was going to receive Islam into his life.
The Shahada.
Yeah, Shahada.
The testimony of faith. Yeah.
So going back to that story with the Tarzan thing. Now part of the Shahada, am I saying it correct?
La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.
Is agreeing that Muhammad is the final messenger.
How would he know about Muhammad?
How would he know about Muhammad if there's someone like you?
No, absolutely, you're right. So our Prophet Muhammad answered this question. Okay. So on the Day of Judgment, there will be those who received the message and turned away from it. Those who received the message and acted in accordance with it, and those who have not received the message. Okay? For those people, they're called Ahl al-Fatra. So that Tarzan example, he would have been
someone that didn't hear the message.
Yes.
And he would have been judged differently.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So he would have his test on the Day of Judgment. So either the message was given to him in a corrupted form. So what is Islam? Islam, they worship a cube. Or Islam, they worship Muhammad. Okay, for 1,000 years in Christianity, we had people like, I don't know if you heard of Dante's Inferno. Okay, this was like the main kind of media was plays and songs and poems and so on and so forth. And for 1,000 years, you had Christians that actually done crusades because they believed that Muslims pray to an idol in the desert. And an idol in Mecca, okay, which is the black stone, which is completely false. Okay, so if the message has come to those people in a corrupted form, or any people, if it's come in a corrupted form, or if it hasn't been presented at all, these people are known as Ahl al-Fatra, and they will have their test on the Day of Judgment.
So can I ask you, is disobedience a sin? Say for example, you have children?
Yeah.
If your child is disobedient to you, that's a sin, right?
That would be no.
What do you consider?
So sin is basically is that which is displeasing to Allah. And obedience.
One of God's laws is honor your mother and father.
Yeah.
So disobedience to a parent.
Okay, but from the faculties of from.
I'm going somewhere.
No. When a person is considered to be sinful, is when they have the faculties of comprehension. Okay. Does the person who has a fit when he's got epilepsy, and he has a fit when he's sleeping, and he rolls over and hits his wife in the face, is that a sin?
Is this a sin?
Answer my question, please. Sorry.
Is that a sin?
Is that a sin?
No.
But he's hit his wife in the face.
It's not. Okay, I understand.
So is he a wife beater? Can we call him a wife beater?
Okay.
Why? Because the faculty has to come with the intention.
And how do you apply that to the situation with the children?
So the children, they don't have the faculty.
But you just said that they're born pure, right?
They're born pure, but what Islam is, it's not, okay, they're not born with pure, what Islam is a continuation of that faith. They still need guidance. People will not be judged based upon that pure message alone. It's not about just having the pure message and the sound intellect. Also, Allah sends messengers. Okay, this is when a person can be judged, when they rejected the message. Not when they rejected their fitrah, or their natural disposition, or they reject their intellect. that's not enough to put them in hellfire. It's when the message comes to them that's in line with that fitrah, that natural disposition, and in line with that intellect, and in line with the previous prophets, that message that comes, and you turn away from that, that's when you can say that you had a warner that came to you. And if you understood it, it wasn't like when they went to Cuba, when the Spanish went to Cuba to bring Christianity, they were reciting in Latin and Spanish what the Bible about proclaiming Christ is the Lord. The Cubans, the Carib people that were living there, they couldn't understand Spanish. What happened? They slaughtered them. You're denying God. This is not establishing the proof. They have to understand it, has to resonate with them, and then turn away from it.
Are you a logical thinker?
Am I a logical thinker? We try.
Yeah. And like Islam is more based on something that you can think of logically, understand logically, right?
So we say in Islam that the intellect has a position in Islam, and that position is not the whole of Islam. We say that the intellect is like a witness that is brought into a court case.
Okay, I understand.
Okay?
Yeah.
And the Sharia, the actual revelation, this is the judge. So when the judge needs the witness to bring forth his testimony, he pulls him forward.
Yeah.
But when the judge is in no need of his testimony, he dismisses him. So just to kind of wrap that up, when it comes to understanding God, okay, there's some things that are going to be beyond our comprehension about God, not against our comprehension, beyond. Okay, there's a difference between beyond our comprehension and against our comprehension. Okay, if I was to say to you, without looking, my shoe size is size 9, is that in line with your knowledge? Me, my name's Anwar. My shoe size is size 9. Is that beyond your knowledge or against your knowledge?
Well, I don't know, so it's against my knowledge.
It's beyond. No.
It's beyond. Oh, sorry, it's beyond.
What's your name? James. Now I'm going to give another statement.
Okay.
Now you tell me if it's beyond or against. James's shoe size is size 8.
It's in my knowledge,
Yeah, that's in your knowledge, okay? So that's the difference, okay? Now when it comes to belief in Allah, there are some things that are beyond our knowledge. Ibn Taymiyyah, one of our scholars, mentioned that Islam comes with that which amazes the mind, not which contradicts the intellect, okay? Contradicts the mind. So when it comes to, if we was to ask, how many leaves on those 3 trees here, how many leaves are there? Give a quick look. How many leaves are there? Exact number.
It's beyond my knowledge.
Okay. How many hairs are on your head?
It's beyond my knowledge.
Exactly. So this is the creation. So there are going to be some things that are beyond our knowledge with regards to the Creator. Okay. So when it comes to, are we intellectual people? Yeah, we try to be intellectual, but we, unlike other people that claim to be intellectual, that we understand the limits of the intellect, and we don't try to apply the limits of the intellect in a position that is not made for. Okay.
So going back to the original statement, because I just want to just give my belief that because of the way that I think of it, it's really logical and it makes sense. Now, you say that a child is born pure. See, I kind of have the complete opposite belief that we're born into iniquity based on things that have happened for our ancestry, all of our ancestry. Going all the way back to the original Adam and Eve.
The original sin.
Yeah, the original sin. Let me just finish though. And the reason why I think that, because I hear yours, and I'm a guy that likes to logically think things, look at it, and work it out. I'm not someone that just believes something like that.
Okay.
Now the reason why I think about it like this, are you a father?
Yeah.
I'm a father, I've got a 9-year-old boy. And like growing up...
But God guide him and protect him.
Appreciate it. When he was growing up, there was times where I'd say to him at a young age, and I'm sure as a parent and all the parents here can say this as well, don't do that, son.
Yeah.
He looks at you, you turn your back, and then you're like, he goes and does it.
Yeah.
And like if a child is born pure, that nature, it wouldn't be within them.
No.
I personally think, because of that's not purity, that's disobedience, and that goes against the law of God, which is the Mosaic law, which says honour your mother and father, and that's a sin in form.
So when the baby is crying, because there's a small caveat that we just need to sharpen up. So I understand what you're saying. That when we say the child is born pure, that his slate is clean. Okay. Inside the nature of man, all man, we have the ability to do right and the ability to do wrong. Okay, that's cool. That is basically what distinguishes us from the angels. The angels, they just obey God. We can choose to obey God and choose to disobey God. We have choice. This is why we were held to account. The baby that is crying, okay, I'm talking about the newborn that is crying, and you tell him stop crying.
That's different.
Why is it different?
Because they're crying out for a need.
Okay, but I told them I don't want them to cry. Obey me.
It's different because I can come up to you and be like, yo, my friend, can I have a drink of water, please? Where a baby can't say I want to drink a water because they need to cry out, and that's their way of doing it. They can't speak a
I told
language.
him, I'm trying to. If a person was that sadistic to say to the baby, "I want to make you strong,"
It's different, though.
Why is it different? I know it's different. Of course, it's
Because
different.
of
Why?
they're not desiring to be disobedient. Where if you say don't do that and then they go and do it,
Yeah.
they know doing that is what you've asked them not to do. But
Fair
then
enough.
crying
Fair
is
enough.
crying out for a need.
But you agree that from a point of a baby to somewhere to adulthood, that kind of understanding of right and wrong develops.
Okay.
And then a person at a certain age,
Yeah,
they
I
have
agree.
a firm understanding. So what we're saying,
But there is always a conscience consistent.
what even at the baby,
But that's kind of off the topic of what we're saying.
even a newborn, even a newborn.
What are we asking again? It went
The
slightly off
newborn
topic.
that I said, for example, okay, let's say a 1-year-old. 1-year-old is not like a newborn. They
I want to ask you a thing. I'm going.
I'm so sorry for interrupting your
You're right,
conversation.
Okay,
Yeah.
so no, thank you for
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go because my wife can get upset. But
If you could
You-
yeah.
yeah, there's.
Oh, no, I'm just-
you told me about, and I told you about the garden or the universe and all of that. Now, with regards to the original sin,
Yeah.
and why I know this is the. I'm a Christian, by the way. So that's I don't believe in it because the way it's described in the Bible, with Adam and Eve eating from the apple. Is this in Islam as well?
No, we don't believe that.
No, okay.
It was a fruit.
So by
forbidden-
it said that they
Sorry,
basically become
the tree,
self-aware,
the tree.
right?
Yeah.
Adam and Eve. So before, as described in the Bible, they didn't know, what is right and what is wrong, or I don't know. I don't even know if they were self-aware.
Yeah.
Now, I think there is an innate.
When you finish the video, can you
I
send
think
me stuff?
humanity is
Put it on
page.
time. Yeah.
okay. So
Is
here
it
is
the thing on
why
there?
I would like
US Dawah.
Just because I'd like to watch it back
Of
and
course you
just...
can watch it. US Dawah,
Yeah.
but it may not go up today.
and you
Okay,
make
cool.
Yeah,
perfect
US Dawah
like
though,
it
yeah.
was in Eden.
Come back in it if you wanna.
And those
Ask more questions, we're here every Friday.
Realized that they were naked.
I can't, no, I know Shamsi.
I think I saw you once in Speaker's Corner once.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But you're
that's
more
why
welcome
I-
to challenge.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome.
Like, so, listen, I don't know. See, my problem is that I don't know.
No,
if,
this one's same page.
How should I say?
Same page.
So you take a family,
Just put the US Dawah on YouTube.
and they never see anything else, and there is.
I'm a Christian, by the way.
I know. I guessed
the
it.
climate is warm. There is food.
I do the same thing that you guys do.
Injured, and all of that.
Going
They
out.
will
Oh,
go
you do
and
Dawah
they
then,
don't
yeah?
ever need
Down with the
to
Christian
clothes
version.
from
We call it
themselves.
evangelism.
Evangelism. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, cool.
So you don't. Instagram page subscribe. They don't need the. How should I say? They don't become aware as. In the Bible it says, okay, they eat from the apple.
He does his version. تنصر الناس.
Adam was from the apple because he was no longer naked, but he covered himself.
Yeah.
He was ashamed,
Yeah.
and that, according to the Bible, that shame comes because he becomes basically self-aware, right?
Yeah.
Until then, why was he not ashamed? Before he ate from the
Because he
apple.
recognized his nakedness. According to the biblical narrative, he recognized his nakedness. Yeah.
Right. Now, I think for that narrative, I don't think it stands up to scrutiny because, like I told you, you take somebody from a baby and he grows up but never seen anybody dressed up. He doesn't need it. It's not cold, it's warm, so you don't have to dress up, right?
Okay.
And you don't have to. So they will never. What I'm trying to say to you, they will never realize that they are naked. I don't think
Because they'll never be. I don't understand that analogy. Because they'll never be naked.
because they're always naked. Because
Oh,
they
if
are
it's
always.
in a warm climate, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that somebody can grow up, like you said just now, without hearing the word of God. So somebody from birth all the way to adulthood, they can grow up somewhere if the conditions are right, without realizing that they are naked or the need to cover up.
It's not. Do you mean specifically the need that actually the laws on dress code? Is that
Yes, exactly.
Specifically that?
Or like it's in the Bible that because well,
So look.
this is the thing with the original sin for me.
This is why this is basically abnormal. Okay, we live in societies, we live amongst each other. Okay,
Yes.
we're talking about the hypothetical situations.
Yes.
In the rare cases where people live by themselves. As I mentioned to my friend here, that on the day of judgment, these people will have their own tests. Okay, as for us, It's when the revelation comes. The revelation comes, how do we interact with that revelation? Do we ponder over it, reflect over it, and that if we come to the conclusion it's from God, we follow it sincerely? Or do we become arrogant, stick with what our forefathers were upon, and stick with what is cool or what is trendy or whatever the fashion is at the time? Or do we humble ourselves for God and go against the grain? So we're going to be held to account by how we interact with revelation. The revelation that comes, the last of which is the Quran. This is our belief, that when this revelation that makes sense to you, that you have one God, worship Him alone. These are the messages of the Prophet. This is the message of the last of the Prophet Muhammad, in line with those previous messages, for you to worship God alone, follow his example. We will be held accountable based upon that. No, the people in hellfire, the caliber of these people, the type of people that these are the people that if they were brought out of hell, they would go back and disbelieve again. They are pure going against the grain. However, these people will be asked, did not a warner come to you? Did a messenger come to you? Right. And they said they would admit, yes, a messenger came to us. So, as for the hypothetical situations, that doesn't help us in our discussion.
No, I know. That was just with regards to the original sin, how it's described in the narrative in the Bible. Right.
But what you can do, because unlike most people or a lot of people in this society, maybe even most, I don't know. Actually, it's most now. We've done the study. Most people are non-religious, don't believe in the Creator. I'm not sure if it's atheistic. I would say maybe agnostic. But we have something in common. We have an understanding of this Creator. And you coming from like a Christian background, you have an understanding of this, the prophets and messengers in your scripture that pray to this one God. So you can do this now internally to yourself. The God of Abraham, ask Him to guide you to the truth wherever it is. May the God of Abraham, who was neither Jew nor Christian, what religion was he? He had a religion. Religion is basically he had a religion. Religion is basically what your heart is tied to. That's what it means in Latin, and we have a similar thing in Arabic as well. What your heart is tied to. What is your aqidah? Aqid, tie. Religion, legion, to tie. Okay? So what his heart was tied to was submission to God. This was his path. Submitting to God alone. Following wherever God's commands led, he would follow them. If it said go right, go back, go forward, he would follow God's commandments to the T. This is what submission is. This is what Islam means, to submit. So this is the religion of Abraham. He pre-existed Christianity. He pre-existed Judaism. Okay? In fact, Judaism is ascribed to Judah, which is the son of one of his later sons. Okay? So, this God of Abraham, may he guide us to the truth wherever it is. If you reflect upon this, when you go home, when you're alone, when nobody's looking at you, and you're secluded, if you ask this God of Abraham to guide you to the truth, wherever it is, and you reflect over the Quran, which I'm going to give you before you go, you will come to the realization that this is the final revelation, and this is from Allah. And then it's upon you to follow that and act in accordance with that revelation.
Answer me this.
Yeah.
Do you think that the Creator works through humans, right?
He gives messages and he has prophets and messages. As a Christian or from a Christian background, this is not a new concept to you.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
So yes, he sends revelation to his prophets and his chosen prophets and messengers. Yes.
And that, to revert back to my discussion with regards to the universe and the God and the concept of sin.
Yeah.
Right? With why my belief, because okay, I believe in a Creator, right? But I honestly think that that's not enough, and it shouldn't be enough to go to heaven.
It's not, believing in his creator is not enough.
Alright, don't worry about it.
Even worshiping,
Later,
I don't
because
think.
too much.
Do you think
do it, yeah.
that Hindus don't believe, or idol worshippers, do you think they don't believe in the creator? We mentioned this earlier. Every society believes in a creator. It's not just about believing in a creator. You believe that this creator created you. How do you react to that? It's about worshipping him alone. Yes, you can believe there's a creator that exists, but do you single out all of your worship and submit to him? This is what the prophets and messengers came with. They never came. Islam doesn't come to tell you that there's a creator. It's assumed in it. Why? Because it's so innate. We know this is naturally there's a creator. Yes, it does give you evidences for it. If there is doubt, afillahi shak, he mentions in the Quran, is there any doubt concerning Allah? creator of the heavens and the earth. It gives examples of why we should believe in it, but it's an assumed thing. That the prophets and messengers, they came to call the people that this God that you knew instinctively, you already knew about it, worship him. And follow this prophet.
And that's enough.
This is enough. This is the key to paradise. And from that,
What about your
from that,
fellow human being?
from that is the laws in the human being. Following the prophet, you would see that he says, I'm the best amongst you to my wives. The wife is not Allah, so he's telling you how to be good to your wives. He says the best of you are the best of good to those who are best to your women folk. He said the believer doesn't go to sleep while his neighbor is starving. Okay? So the believer is the lowest of faith in Islam is to remove something harmful from the road. The lowest of faith in Islam, we still encourage you to do it as an action, is to remove something harmful from the road. Who walks on the road? It's not just me, everybody walks on the road. So in a society, the Muslim has a huge impact, the practicing Muslim. We have Muslims by name, and they're the Muslim no doubt, but when a Muslim really acts upon his religion, you'll see a big difference. How can there be people going to food banks and starving in London when there's Muslims everywhere? If the Muslims were to follow small commandments of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He said, for example, when you make soup, add water so you can feed the neighbor. And the neighbor is 40 that way and 40 that way. If you live in a flat, 40 up, 40 down. How can we see people that are starving in London when we have to, because we're not following? It's not that it's not there, it's we're not following it. So if you follow it correctly, you'll see that Islam gives everything. Established the balances with justice, meaning it gives rights first and foremost to Allah, then to the people, and all around. In fact, it even gives rights to your own body. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, your body has rights over you, meaning that when it's time to rest, take your rest. Take the midday nap because the shaitan doesn't. Yeah. So it gives rights to your body, it gives rights to your neighbours, but most importantly, your family and yourself and so on and so forth. And most importantly, the right of your creator. In the shirk al-dhulmun adhim, that to associate partners with Allah is the greatest oppression. To associate partners with God, He created you alone, but yet you're going to give thanks to somebody else. Worship Him, worship something else to get to Allah. This is the greatest oppression. Okay, so it puts everything in its right place, and this is wisdom. So this is Islam. And if you now were to reflect upon that message and pray to that God that you know instinctively, I'm not telling you about a God you never heard of or you never knew. The one you already know, ask Him for guidance, and you will see that it will, and reflect over the Quran, and you will see that it will guide you to the truth, and you will see that the Quran is from Him. When you use your sound fitrah and your sound reasoning and reflect, ponder over this book, and you will see that this is from the same creator who gave you your natural inclination, who gave your eyes, your brain, your heart to contemplate with. This creator.
It's compatible with what I said before, yeah? With your neighbor, with everything else.
Absolutely. I think we've got literature on there that you can read up on about that. But most importantly, you have to understand the rights of the neighbor. Our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, one of his companions said that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, gave us an admonition concerning our neighbors, so much so that we thought that they would inherit from us after we died. Let me break that down. That the Prophet Muhammad, one of his companions said, the Prophet was talking so much about the neighbors and how we treat them, the good treatment of them, that we was thinking that maybe when we die, if he didn't clarify to us that maybe when we die, they would inherit from our wealth. Inheritance is only for the child, But you see the great importance, how much the neighbor is important to us in Islam. We see this a lot in Muslim countries. And may Allah bless all the aunties, reward all the aunties, the Muslim aunties that live in London that feed their neighbors. Because we see this a lot. A lot of, mashallah, a lot of the Moroccan aunties, they make harira and they give it to the neighbors. We see Somalian aunties. So if you're really living next door, this is how you want to know if you're living next to a good Muslim. Does he feed you or does he help you or is he good to you? And we will see, unfortunately, many are not, but we have a lot that are as well. So you'll see that the emphasis on the neighbours and the society that we live in and the rights of the people, Islam has a huge emphasis on this. I'm not allowed to cheat at all. I'm not allowed to take interest from people. I'm not allowed to harm people. I'm not allowed to sell alcohol. How many Muslim shops you see that they sell alcohol? Alcohol, I know alcohol harms you. So I'm not allowed to sell it even to you. Even if I'm going to make money off it. So this is the full rights. But anyway, You've understood what I'm saying?
Yes.
Can I give you some literature and show?
Yes, yeah. I'm going because my wife.